The story is about a man named Hiraku who lived a very unfortunate life. He was betrayed by his own people and later fell terminally ill. Dying at the young age of just 39, his life ended in pain and disappointment, without ever getting a fair chance to truly live. However, everything changes after his death. In the afterlife, his spirit meets a god. From their conversation, we learn that Hiraku's suffering was not entirely his fault. The god himself admits that Hiraku's illness happened because of his own mistake. Feeling guilty and wanting to make things right, the god decides to give Hiraku another chance at life. This time he promises to give him a completely healthy body, one that will never fall sick again. When the god asks Hiraku what kind of life he wants to live, Hiraku replies with a simple and honest wish. He says he wants to live peacefully as a farmer on farmland. The god is a bit surprised and not very impressed by such a simple wish. He expected something more ambitious. But still, he respects Hiraku's choice and grants his wish. On top of that, he gives him a special gift, a secret almighty farming tool that will help him become a great farmer. The next moment, Hiraku wakes up in the middle of a dense forest. There are no people around, just nature. This is where his new life begins. He summons the almighty farming tool. At first glance it looks like a normal farming tool like a spade, but once he starts using it he realizes how powerful it really is. He can dig the ground easily without getting tired, as if his body has unlimited stamina. Before starting his farming life, he understands that he needs basic necessities first. He must find water, food, and a safe place to stay for the night. As he explores deeper into the forest, he finds a large tree and decides to make it his base. Since he cannot find any nearby water source, he uses the almighty farming tool to dig deep into the ground. Soon he successfully finds clean underground water. With water secured, his next problem is food. He looks around but cannot find anything easily edible. Since he is not experienced in hunting or gathering, he decides to leave it for later. Instead, he focuses on preparing land for farming. There is a huge tree standing in the way, blocking the area he wants to use. At first, he thinks he will need to slowly cut it down using normal methods. But when he swings his tool, the tree gets cut down in a single slice as if it was nothing. This is when he truly understands why it is called the almighty farming tool. Now that the tree is down, he tries to use the wood to build a house. But he quickly runs into a problem. He does not have nails or anything to hold the pieces together. As the sun starts setting, he begins to panic. The forest feels scary at night, and he does not know how to handle it. He even struggles with something as basic as starting a fire. Surprisingly, the night is not completely dark. That is because this world has 2 moons, which light up the surroundings more than he expected. The next morning, he quickly takes action. He uses a magnifying glass to start a fire and prepares in advance. Then he clears more land for farming using his almighty tool, finishing work in minutes without getting tired. Even though he does not feel hungry, he knows he still needs to eat to survive. Suddenly, a wild rabbit-like creature attacks him. Luckily, Hiraku reacts quickly and uses his tool to kill it before it can harm him. The tool easily breaks the creature apart, turning it into something he can cook and eat. Instead of feeling scared, Hiraku feels relieved and even a bit happy, because now he has food without needing to search for it. After eating his first proper meal in this new life, his body reacts naturally. He realizes he needs a proper toilet. Without wasting time, he builds a complete toilet system from scratch, including a seat, a tank, and even a way to release gas and clean it later. It feels like Hiraku has been waiting for a chance like this, to start his life from zero and build everything step by step, exactly the way he wants. Even though he is all alone in this strange new world, Hiraku still cannot bring himself to use the toilet without any cover. So he quickly builds a small room around it for privacy. After finishing his business, he decides to finally start working properly. He begins cultivating the land in a more organized and civilized way. However, there is one big problem: he has no idea what he is supposed to grow. He thinks about a few vegetables like tomatoes, potatoes, onions, and cucumbers. With these ideas in mind, he prepares the land carefully. But then he realizes something important: he does not even have any seeds to grow these crops. So, he decides to go look for seeds the next morning and goes to sleep. However, when he wakes up the next day, he notices something strange and surprising. The farmland is already filled with small plants. It is as if the land did not even need seeds, or maybe it is the effect of the almighty farming tool. Now that he has crops growing, he understands that he must protect them from wild animals. He starts building a fence around his farmland. To make it even safer, he digs a trench outside the fence so that animals cannot easily come near his land. Even with the almighty tool given by the god, it still takes him a few days to complete the fencing around both his farmland and his house. Although he does not know exactly what kind of plants are growing, he continues to water them using the almighty watering pot. Every day the plants grow noticeably, which makes him feel excited and satisfied. Next, he manages to build himself a small hut. Instead of using nails or glue, he uses a simple logging technique to put the wood pieces together. However, he cannot make the house too big because the wood is too heavy for him to handle alone. Still, the house feels too small to live in comfortably, so he digs the ground inside the house to create more space and increase its height. For the roof, he uses tree bark to cover the top. He even creates wooden nails to fix the bark in place. Now, with a proper house and farmland, Hiraku slowly starts getting used to this new life. But soon, something unexpected happens. Two strange dog-like creatures appear near his home. They do not seem dangerous, so Hiraku decides to take them in. One of them is even pregnant. Since he always dreamed of having a dog as a pet, this feels like a dream come true for him. Not long after, the female dog is ready to give birth. Hiraku does not know what to do, but he cannot just leave her outside, so he lets both dogs stay inside his house while he sleeps somewhere else for the night. The next morning, when he checks on them, he finds that the female dog has given birth to 4 puppies. To celebrate, Hiraku brings them some boar meat. Soon, the dogs become attached to the place, and Hiraku cannot bring himself to send them away. Because of this, he decides to build a new house for himself. After a few days of hard work, he successfully builds a much better house than before. Now, it is finally time to harvest his crops. He discovers that they are tomatoes. By now, the dogs have become an important part of his life, so he decides to give them names. He names the female dog Yuki and the male dog Kuro. The puppies are simply named based on numbers along with their father's name. Soon he realizes that the dogs also eat the vegetables grown on his farm. Now that he has others to take care of, he starts working even harder to grow more food. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, the god begins to worry about Hiraku and decides to check on him. But what he discovers shocks him. The place where Hiraku was sent is actually known as the Forest of Death, a place filled with dangerous monsters. This means Hiraku is living in a very dangerous area. However, the god cannot interfere anymore. He can only wait until Hiraku returns as a soul again. Back in the forest, Hiraku realizes something very important. He notices that he never planted any seeds, yet the crops still grew. Then he remembers that he had imagined these exact vegetables before starting farming. This leads him to an important conclusion. With the help of the almighty farming tool, whatever he imagines can grow into reality. Feeling grateful to the god who gave him a second chance at life, Hiraku decides to show his respect. He builds 2 statues, one of the god of judgment and another of the agricultural god, as a way to express his gratitude. Now, Hiraku faces another problem. He has food but no flavor. He is only eating boiled vegetables with nothing to season them. What he really wants is salt, but there is no sea nearby, so he cannot get it easily. So, he decides to grow fruits instead. He plants trees like apples, pears, and persimmons, but he knows this will take time because fruit trees need years, sometimes even decades, to fully grow. Since he has no choice but to wait, he decides to spend more time with his dogs and build a stronger bond with them. During this time, he notices something strange. These dogs have horns, which is something very rare and unusual. Even so, they are extremely helpful. Their sense of smell is incredible, and they never get lost. With their help, Hiraku is finally able to travel farther than his usual area. Eventually, they discover a flowing water stream. Seeing this, Hiraku gets an idea. He decides to redirect the river toward his land so that he can have a constant water supply, but the distance is long, so before starting the work, he even builds a toilet at the construction site for convenience. Since traveling back and forth is tiring, Hiraku uses the almighty farming tool to create a wheelbarrow. This makes carrying things much easier. However, when he hits a pothole on the way, he realizes that he might need to build a proper road first. But instead of focusing on the road, he decides to expand his farmland. He creates a larger area to grow different kinds of crops. He grows oil plants to produce oil, he grows wheat to make flour, he even starts growing sugarcane. Later, he notices that his bean sprouts have already grown, but to make his favorite dishes he still needs salt, and that is something he cannot grow. He starts thinking about finding rock salt somewhere nearby. However, before he can focus on that, a bigger problem appears. The weather starts getting colder, winter is coming. He needs warm clothes. He tries to use the fur of a giant rabbit he had hunted earlier, but it smells so bad that he cannot wear it. Instead, he decides it is better to stay inside his house and rely on fire to keep himself warm. While he is preparing food for winter, Kuro suddenly appears, but this time he is not alone. He has brought something unexpected, a giant spider. At first, it seems dangerous, but the spider behaves calmly to show that it is not a threat. The giant spider starts weaving and creates a handkerchief. Seeing this, Hiraku understands that the spider is friendly. He accepts it as part of his family and names it Zabuton. Zabuton starts living in the large tree near Hiraku's house. Soon it begins helping him by weaving all kinds of useful things: clothes, bedsheets, curtains, pillows, and even warm winter clothes. With Zabuton's help, Hiraku now has everything he needs to survive the winter comfortably. After some months pass, winter finally ends. The puppies have now grown up. One day they leave and go back into the forest. After a few days, all 4 dogs return, but this time they bring their partners with them. At the same time, Zabuton has also given birth to many small spiders. Seeing everyone forming their own families, Hiraku starts to feel a little lonely and even a bit jealous. However, fate has something else planned for him. One day, the dogs and Zabuton find a small girl in the forest and bring her to him. She looks scared, surrounded by the dogs. When she calls for help, Hiraku is surprised because she speaks his language. As he moves closer to help her, she suddenly jumps forward and bites him. Because of this, she transforms into an adult woman, but when the dogs try to attack her, she quickly turns back into a small girl again. To Hiraku, she does not seem dangerous, so he tells the dogs to stop. The girl explains that she bid him to suck his blood and gain energy. Even after hearing this, Hiraku does not feel angry. Instead, he calmly tells her to drink more blood so she can return to her original adult form. After drinking some more of his blood, she transforms back into an adult. Hiraku then takes her to his farmland. She is shocked to see such a peaceful and developed place inside a dangerous forest like this. She spends the entire day exploring, checking different crops and fruits. By night, she decides to stay at his house. She introduces herself as Lulisi, a vampire. She explains that she is a researcher who studies medicinal plants. She also reveals that she ran away from her town because some people were trying to steal her research. But more than anything, she is curious about Hiraku. She has never seen anyone use an ability like his almighty farming tool before, and she wants to understand how it works. Now that Hiraku finds out Lucy is already a runaway from her hometown, bro doesn't waste a second, not even a dramatic pause, straight up asks her to stay with him, not for a night, not for a month, but forever. Yeah, bro skipped all levels and went straight to lifetime subscription. Lucy is obviously shocked because, who wouldn't be? But then Hiraku starts begging like he's about to lose his only Wi-Fi connection. He just doesn't want to feel lonely anymore, and Lucy, stuck between logic and this guy might cry any second, ends up saying yes. Next morning, reality kicks in. Lucy wants to study medicinal herbs, so she tells Hiraku to focus on getting proper seeds. Sounds normal, right? Wrong. This is where she discovers that Hiraku doesn't even need seeds, bro just imagines things, and they grow. At this point, farming is basically cheating for him. With Lucy's help, Hiraku finally discovers a source of salt right under the giant tree, something that was literally under his nose the whole time. Genius farmer, but blind when it comes to obvious stuff. Classic. Later, while Lucy and Hiraku are peacefully enjoying tea, the spider suddenly rings the alarm bell. Yep, emergency again. Turns out the dogs caught another girl, this time, an angel, because why not? Hiraku frees her from the web and she casually heals herself using magic like it's nothing. No panic, no drama, just, I got this. Then we find out she has actually been looking for Lucy this whole time. Talk about perfect timing. They sit down quietly, and the angel introduces herself as Tia, but when she asks who Hiraku is, Lucy turns red and, out of nowhere, introduces him as her husband. Even Hiraku is like, wait, what? But Tia doesn't really care about that. She's focused on her mission. Turns out there's a bounty on Lucy's head for causing trouble back in town, and Tia wants to take her back. Sounds serious. But Lucy is not interested at all. Instead, she flips the situation and invites Tia to stay with them in the village. To convince her, Lucy gives Tia a full tour of the crops, basically showing off like, look how peaceful life is here, no bounty hunters, just farming vibes. After spending the whole day working and seeing everything, Tia finally gives in and decides to stay and help with farming. Easy recruitment. Honestly, Lucy could sell anything at this point. Meanwhile, Hiraku notices the dog family is multiplying like crazy. The small doghouse is clearly not enough anymore, so he decides to build a separate area just for them because apparently even dogs are living better than most people. Then he plans to build a home for Zabuton's kids too, but most of them leave to go on their own journey. Some stay behind because not everyone wants to struggle outside. Smart choice. Since farming needs more hands, Tia decides to bring help from town. She flies back and returns with 7 elves. Yeah, just casually brings an entire squad. The elves look elegant and bright, but their story is dark. Their entire race was nearly wiped out in a war led by humans, and they've been wandering without a home ever since. Now they ask Hiraku for a place to live so they can rebuild their race. In return, they'll help with farming. Honestly, fair deal. Hiraku basically unlocks a new expansion pack. After Lucy introduces the elves to everyone, Hiraku decides to build them a big house. But since all 7 sisters want to live together, big turns into why is this mansion level? The funny part? The elves are way better at building than Hiraku, so he ends up doing the basic labor, digging, carrying, cutting wood, while they handle the actual design and construction. Bro got demoted in his own village. After 10 days of work, they finish a massive house. The elves even use magic to create lighting, making the place look even cooler. And honestly, the house is so good that Hiraku feels a little jealous. Can't blame him. Imagine building huts your whole life and then someone pulls up and drops a luxury villa in 10 days. But more than jealousy, he feels impressed and inspired because now he knows he seriously needs to step up his game. As a way to thank Hiraku for letting them stay on his farmland, the elves decide to help him out, and not in a small way either. They go straight into blacksmith mode and start making proper utensils using iron in just a few days this place goes from random forest survival to low-budget kingdom with upgrades. Then, because why stop there, they also start baking bread. Now the village has metal tools and fresh bread. Honestly, Hiraku is living better than most city people at this point. Now that things are finally settling down, Hiraku starts overthinking. He suddenly realizes, wait, what if this land belongs to someone else and I get kicked out? Classic late realization. Lucy tells him to relax. The forest isn't owned by any human king, but since it's a demon forest, technically it falls under the demon lord's territory. Sounds scary? But she also explains that since Hiraku built everything himself and no one claimed it, he's fine. Basically, no rent, no landlord, no problem, lucky guy. That night, Hiraku remembers something important he completely ignored before: diverting the water stream to his land, a small detail for farming. Next morning, before he can even start working, Zabuton shows up like, I brought you a gift, and the gift is a giant queen bee, captured like a hostage. At this point, nothing surprises anyone anymore. But Zabuton doesn't want to eat it. Instead, she wants Hiraku to keep the bees in the village. Smart move, free honey business unlocked. So Hiraku builds a small shelter for the bees, already thinking about future honey production. Bro is planning long-term now. After dealing with the bees, he finally focuses on water. He digs a huge reservoir to store water. Good start, but now comes the real challenge: building a waterway. Lucy is confused because there aren't many stones around, and Hiraku initially wants to use stones to build strong canals. Then he considers wood. But yeah, wood plus water equals leaks everywhere, not exactly genius. So Hiraku comes up with a better idea. Using his almighty tool, he compresses and hardens the soil, shaping it into solid canals. No leaks, no problem. Honestly, this tool is doing 90% of the work. With a clear plan, everyone starts working. The elves handle the foundation, while Hiraku focuses on shaping the canals, and surprisingly, it doesn't take long. Soon, water starts flowing from the river straight into their territory. And as a bonus, the river brings fish along with it. Free food delivery, not bad. Hiraku is excited because finally, real protein, but everyone else is scared. The fish look monstrous and are known to be dangerous. But then they see Hiraku casually eating one like it's normal lunch. No fear, just vibes. And just like that, everyone's fear disappears. If Hiraku can eat it and survive, then it's probably fine. Right? Soon they catch a lot of fish and preserve them using salt. Now they've got food storage sorted too. Next, Hiraku decides to grow rice. Earlier it was difficult because of limited water, but now, water everywhere, so he builds a separate area just for rice farming. He creates rice paddies, fills them with water, and plants the seeds, and thanks to the almighty tool, the rice grows much faster than normal, basically speed-running agriculture. After harvesting, he hangs the rice to dry. Then comes the long, slightly annoying process: threshing. He uses the almighty tool again to act like a thresher and separate the grains. Then they use a sieve to clean out leaves and unwanted stuff. After that, a mortar is used to remove the husk, and finally a pestle to polish the rice. At this point, everyone is probably thinking, can we just eat it already? But nope, still not ready. After all that effort, the girls are clearly annoyed. Farming sounded peaceful. No one mentioned it was this much work. Finally, Hiraku cooks the rice. Once it's done, he makes small rice cakes and fills them with the fish they caught earlier. And just like that, after all the struggle, the village gets its first proper rice meal. Not gonna lie, it took way too many steps just to eat something, but hey, at least now they're eating like kings instead of surviving like NPCs. The girls try the rice cakes with fish. And yeah, it's game over. They love it, like really love it. This isn't just food for them, this is a life-changing experience. Problem is, they love it a little too much. Before Hiraku can even enjoy his own hard work, the girls wipe out the entire batch. Every single cake gone. Hiraku is just standing there like, nice. I cooked for everyone, except myself. Truly inspiring. Next, Hiraku notices something unfair. Everyone else just uses magic to clean themselves after farming, while he's walking around covered in dirt like a rejected caveman. Clearly this is not acceptable. So he decides to build a proper bathing area. And not some basic setup, he goes all out, a fully equipped bathhouse with warm water, because freezing outside in winter just to bathe is basically torture. They start building it and everything goes smoothly, until Hiraku has a rare moment of thinking ahead. He realizes that if they use clean river water and dump the dirty water back, they'll end up polluting the river. For once, bro thinks like a responsible human. Tia then suggests a solution. She says there are slimes in this world that eat waste and keep things clean. Living cleaning machines. Honestly, sounds better than most real systems. Without wasting time, she goes out and captures a bunch of slimes. When she returns, Hiraku builds a wastewater pool next to the bathhouse where the slimes can do their thing. So now they have a self-cleaning system. This village is slowly turning into a fantasy smart city. Later, while handling firewood, Hiraku notices mushrooms growing on a log, and suddenly he remembers how badly he wants to eat mushrooms. He asks the girls for advice. Big mistake. Everyone has weird and questionable opinions. No one actually helps. At this point, it's safer to trust his own instincts. So Hiraku uses the almighty tool, imagines edible mushrooms, and hits the firewood because obviously that's how things work now. After that, he decides to teach the girls how to properly use the bathhouse like normal, civilized people, and of course he gives a full demonstration. No awkwardness, just pure commitment to hygiene. Next morning he goes back to check the firewood, and boom, mushrooms have grown. The method worked. Bro is basically rewriting biology at this point. But before he can celebrate, the dogs show up again with more guests, this time more wandering elves. At this point, the dogs are doing better recruitment than any HR department. Since new people means new housing, Hiraku starts planning another house. But right when things are getting busy, the story shifts to Kuro's past. Kuro wasn't always living this comfortable life. He used to be a lone warrior, just roaming around, wanting freedom and no attachments. Then he met Yuki, a female demon dog. They fought and Kuro lost, yeah. But instead of ending badly, they teamed up and formed a group. Over time, their bond grew stronger, and Yuki became pregnant. Kuro was actually happy, thinking he'd finally have a family. But of course, nothing stays peaceful. One day they encountered the king of the forest, the grappler bear, and yeah, they got destroyed, completely outmatched. The only reason they survived is because the bear decided to spare them. Injured and barely holding on, they kept moving, until they found something weird. A human. Alone. Living in the demon forest like it's no big deal. They were confused, how was this guy even alive? But then they saw the almighty tool, and everything started to make sense. This wasn't a normal human. At that moment they probably thought, yeah, we're done. But instead of attacking or chasing them away, Hiraku did something unexpected. He took them in, fed them, gave them the meat of a giant boar, the same kind of beast they once fought and lost to. No fear, no hostility, just kindness. That's when Kuro decided to stay under Hiraku, not because he was forced to, but because he wanted to. Hiraku gave them names, gave them food, and gave them a place to belong. And for the first time, Kuro wasn't just surviving. He was actually happy. Kuro does have one small fear though. One day Hiraku might realize that the cute dogs he adopted are actually deadly monsters of the forest. Inferno wolves, yeah, not exactly puppies. But at the same time, Kuro is pretty sure Hiraku wouldn't care even if he found out. The guy casually grows crops with imagination and eats monster fish like snacks. A few deadly wolves? Probably just good boys to him. After days of work, they finally complete a new house, and this one is on a whole different level, bigger, better, and actually worthy of the so-called village chief. The house has a large hall where everyone can gather and talk, a private room for Hiraku on one side, and on the other side, a proper dining room and kitchen. No more random outdoor eating like survivors. Upstairs, there are two separate rooms for Tia and Lucy, which honestly impresses Hiraku a lot. She thought of everything, even added a couple's bedroom. Not that anyone is using it right now. But hey, planning ahead never hurts, or maybe she knows something Hiraku doesn't. To celebrate the new house, Hiraku decides to cook curry, big moment, but of course curry needs spices. So they head to the farmland, where Hiraku has been growing all kinds of spices using his overpowered farming tool, first cumin, then turmeric, then coriander, and finally cilantro. And here comes a weird discovery, those terrifying inferno wolves? They're scared of cilantro. Yeah, deadly monsters of the forest, afraid of salad leaves. Nature really has a sense of humor. Lucy and Tia take note of this because it might actually help keep the wolves away if needed. While Lucy and Tia handle the spices, Leah helps Hiraku cook the curry, and since it's curry, Hiraku also makes naan, because what's curry without naan? That's just sad. He ends up making around 36 naan rotis. Honestly, that sounds like enough, but knowing this group, it's probably not. And of course, history repeats itself. Hiraku invites everyone to eat, and they destroy everything again, not a single piece left for him. At this point, Hiraku should just eat first and invite them later. Lesson clearly not learned. Soon, winter arrives, time to prepare or suffer. Hiraku gets warm blankets for everyone from Zabuton, while Tia and Lucy preserve meat using a dry smoking technique. Hiraku also stores vegetables in a smart way, stacking wooden boxes, keeping vegetables on top, empty space below, covering everything with cloth and snow. Basically, low-tech refrigeration, not bad for a guy living in a forest. Once winter fully hits, snow covers everything and they're stuck inside all day, so Hiraku creates games like chess, mahjong, and reversi to keep everyone entertained. Because without entertainment, people start fighting, or worse, get bored. But things take a funny turn when Kuro starts winning every single game against Hiraku over and over again. Now Hiraku is the one getting depressed. Imagine creating games to avoid boredom and ending up losing your mental peace instead. So, for a change, he introduces bowling, probably the only game where he might stand a chance. Eventually, winter passes and spring returns, everything seems peaceful, until it isn't. Out of nowhere, a dragon-like creature attacks them. Tia and Lucy identify it as a wyvern, one of the most dangerous creatures in the world. And here's the scary part, even an angel and a vampire are too afraid to fight it. Its defense is basically untouchable. But the wyvern doesn't care about their fear. It starts blasting fireballs like it's trying to delete the entire village. Now Hiraku has no choice, it's fight or lose everything. At that moment, the almighty tool transforms into a spear, and Hiraku understands what he has to do. He steps forward and throws the spear with full force. The result? Insane. The spear cancels the dragon's heat blast, breaks through its shield, and even damages its wing, all in one hit. Then Hiraku attacks again. This time the spear goes straight through the wyvern, and ends the fight instantly. Just like that, the unstoppable monster is gone. Tia and Lucy are completely shocked. They finally realize how powerful Hiraku actually is, and honestly they're just relieved they didn't pick a fight with him when they first met. Good decision, very good decision. After that, everyone casually enjoys the wyvern meat like it's some rare delicacy, from survival to luxury dining once again. But far away in the Demon Lord's castle, news spreads quickly. A man took down a wyvern in just 2 hits. Even the Demon Lord's 3 generals are shaken because now they know there's someone out there who might be just as dangerous as the Demon Lord himself. The news doesn't just stop at the Demon Lord's castle, it goes even higher. It reaches the Dragon King Drime, and even he is not feeling confident. Yeah, let that sink in. A literal king of dragons is thinking, yeah, I'd rather not fight that guy, because after hearing that a wyvern got deleted in 2 hits, Drime knows even he might not survive something like that. That's when it becomes clear. The wyvern probably wasn't just randomly flying around, it was most likely sent to hunt Hiraku, or maybe the girls. Either way, someone just messed up big time. Next morning, Hiraku casually decides, let's make wine, because apparently after killing dragons, the next logical step is alcohol production. They collect grapes, and Hiraku assigns the girls to stomp them to extract juice, classic method. But of course, things don't stay normal. The girls drag Hiraku in 2, and this man doesn't even wash his feet before stepping in. Congrats, you just invented flavored wine, not in a good way. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, things are getting heated. The god of jurisdiction is getting absolutely roasted by the goddess of agriculture, who also happens to be his daughter, and she is not happy. She's furious that he sent a human to the forest of death and gave him a holy spear disguised as a farming tool. Her main concern? That the spear might slowly drain Hiraku's life force. Basically, congrats, you gave him power, but also a possible death sentence. But the god of jurisdiction is chill, way too chill. He argues that Hiraku is doing perfectly fine, actually enjoying life, and says the spear won't kill him. Why? Because he gave Hiraku a ridiculously healthy body that won't fall sick or lose vitality. So while she's worried, he's like, relax, he's built different. Back in the forest, Hiraku finds yet another girl in trouble. At this point, it's basically a daily event. This time it's Flora, Lucy's sister. And unlike Lucy, Flora talks a lot. She quickly blends into the village like she's been there forever, but after a few days of learning new recipes she leaves. Seems normal, until she comes back a month later. And she's not alone. She brings a whole army of maids, like, a lot of them plus 2 cows for milk. Because why not turn a small village into a full-on civilization overnight? Seeing this, Tia starts panicking. Now there are tons of vampires, demon wolves and demon spiders, elves, and she's the only angel, not exactly balanced. So she decides, yeah, I need backup. She leaves, and comes back quickly with her own squad, more angels, some lizard men, and even a hen for eggs. Now the village is officially crowded. What started as one guy farming peacefully, has turned into a full fantasy society. Leah then brings even more elves, but there's one small issue. They're all female. Turns out, no male elves survived the war, which leads to a very awkward situation. They need to reproduce, but Hiraku has no idea how that's going to work, and honestly he's not even brave enough to ask. Smart move, some questions are better left unanswered. Now that the village is packed with people, Hiraku decides it's finally time to give it a name. Lucy suggests naming it after him, but Hiraku shuts that down immediately. According to him, his name just doesn't have the right vibe. Fair enough, Hiraku Town does sound a bit basic. Lucy's headmate suggests naming it after the forest. Sounds good. Until they remember the forest is called the Forest of Death. Yeah, no one wants to live in Death Village, that's just bad marketing. Then Zabuton steps in and shows Hiraku the giant tree at the center of everything. And that's when it clicks. Hiraku finally names the place Great Tree Village. Simple, meaningful, and not terrifying, perfect. They celebrate the moment with a party, and Hiraku is officially chosen as the mayor. From lonely farmer, to leader of a growing civilization. Not bad for a guy who just wanted a peaceful life. Life was going smooth, a little too smooth, so obviously something had to go wrong. One day bad news arrives. A messenger from the Demon King shows up, not just any messenger but one of the 4 generals himself. Yeah, when a top boss shows up personally, it's never for tea. But here's the funny part. Hiraku still has no idea how broken he actually is, so instead of acting like a boss, he starts worrying that the Demon Lord might start a war. And what does he do? He offers to pay taxes. Not even small taxes, 10% of the village's total harvest. Just like that, bro really said, please don't attack us, take our crops. Beazle, the general, is completely shocked. Imagine walking into a place expecting tension, and the strongest guy there is offering you tax money like a peaceful farmer? Of course he agrees, why wouldn't he? Free resources with zero effort. But when Beezle returns to the Demon Kingdom, reality hits him hard. He admits he was already shocked seeing the man who killed a wyvern. But that's not what scared him the most. What really terrified him? Lucy, the vampire princess, Tia, the strongest angel. And that's not even the full list. There were elves, inferno wolves, demon spiders, and even the 3 killer angel sisters. At this point it's less of a village and more of a walking apocalypse. Beezle is confused. Why would a group this powerful agree to pay taxes, when they could literally crush kingdoms? And just when he thinks it can't get crazier, he notices the cloth wrapping the gift Hiraka gave. It's made by Zabuton, the great demon spider. And those spiders? They're said to be as strong as the demon lord himself. Now Beezle is probably questioning his entire life. That same night, the Dragon King himself shows up. Yeah, the Dragon King. But he's not there to fight, he's there to greet Hiraku. Because unlike others, he's smart enough to realize, this is not someone you fight. This is someone you stay on good terms with. As more and more visitors start arriving, Hiraku finally realizes something important. His village is getting popular. So he decides to build a proper guest house, a big one, enough to host at least 30 people, because making powerful guests sleep outside is just asking for trouble. For security he assigns different groups. Lizard men, ogre maids, angel soldiers. Basically, a full defense system. They even set up a bell alarm system with Zabuton to detect intruders. Honestly, this place is more secure than most cities. Meanwhile, Lucy's sister doesn't want to sit around doing nothing, so Hiraku gives her a job. Watch the guests during the day and report anything suspicious. Simple job, but still important. Soon, visitors from a nearby place called Howling Village arrive. But something feels off. Some of their men are hiding in the bushes, not exactly a great first impression. Still, Lucy decides to let it slide and welcomes them inside, but they don't fully trust them either. Tia locks them in the guest house just in case. And the maids? They serve them raw vegetables instead of proper food. Savage? What? Because the guests didn't bring any gifts, and apparently in this village showing up empty-handed is a big no. Even then, Hiraku stays calm. He doesn't treat them like enemies and even offers them wine. Because of course, his solution to everything is either farming or alcohol. When Hiraku asks about them, one of the men explains they're from Howling Village. They heard about Great Tree Village through the Demon Lord and came for trade. And turns out they're not a threat at all. Just poor villagers trying to build connections. They offer to trade things like iron goods, silver items, spoons, glassworks, and paints. In return they want food. Fair deal. They even apologize for not bringing gifts, saying they didn't know the custom and that they're too poor to bring anything fancy anyway. Now they just sound sad. Eventually trust is built and both sides agree to trade. When the time comes to deliver food to Howling Village, there's one small problem. Transportation. They have none. So what does Hiraku do? He casually asks the Dragon King for help. And in exchange? Wine. That's it. And the Dragon King agrees, not because he has to, but because he wants more wine. Honestly, this village didn't conquer the world with power. It did it with food and alcohol. The mayor of Howling Village didn't just trade and leave, nope, he went full, expansion pack unlocked, and sent a bunch of people to Great Tree Village. And by people, yeah, mostly women. At this point, Hiraku finally says what everyone was thinking. Can we get at least some men too? Seems fair, right? But what does he get instead? 3 kids. That's it. So now the village is still 99% women, and Hiraku is probably questioning his luck at this point. Soon, Hiraku starts noticing something weird. Everyone around him can use magic like it's normal, and he's the only one who can't. Imagine being the only guy without magic in a fantasy world. Sounds like he got scammed. What he doesn't realize is, he doesn't need magic, he's already the most overpowered being there. But yeah, let him feel a little left out, builds character. Suddenly, a loud thumping noise shakes the area. One of the patrolling angels reports that the grappler bear is fighting a giant snake. Basically 2 boss monsters throwing hands. Hiraku decides to step in, not just to stop them but also because, let's be honest, he wants the meat. Priorities? He asks a flying angel to drop him right in the middle of the fight. No fear, no hesitation. And then, 1 hit. That's all it takes. Both massive monsters, done. At this point, calling him human feels disrespectful. Soon after, more visitors arrive, this time a group of old dwarves. Their reason? They heard about the wine, and want it for free. Bold move. Hiraku is actually willing to share because he's just that chill, but the women of the village? Nope, not happening. They want something in return, no free luxury here. The dwarves are poor, but they have one valuable thing, knowledge of alcohol production. So they strike a deal, they'll share their techniques, and in return they get wine and a place to stay. And just like that, the village gains dwarves too. This place is basically collecting every race like Pokemon. One morning Hiraku spots a dragon heading toward the village. And of course his first reaction is, yeah, I'm taking that down. No hesitation, spear ready. But before he can attack, Dragon King Drime shows up and smacks the incoming dragon away. Then, another dragon appears. Now Hiraku is done being patient, he throws his spear again. Luckily, a third dragon manages to dodge just in time because yeah, that spear is basically a delete button. Before things get worse, Drime steps in and begs Hiraku to stop. Turns out the dragons aren't enemies, they're family. The first dragon is Drime's wife, Grafalun, the second is his daughter, Lasti. They came because they noticed Drime sneaking out at night and naturally the wife thought, this man is definitely cheating. But Drime quickly makes up an excuse. He says he's just strengthening political relations. Smooth. After meeting Hiraku and seeing his power firsthand, Grafalun realizes something important. You don't fight this guy, you stay on his good side. She barely survived Hiraku's earlier spear attack, and only because Zabuton saved her at the last second. Yeah, that close. So Grafalun comes up with a very bold plan. She suggests her daughter, Lasti, should seduce Hiraku, because if he's emotionally connected, he'll never point that spear at them. Smart? Maybe risky? Definitely. Lasti then requests to stay in the village, and since dragons are known for being wise, Hiraku gives her a role, handling diplomatic relations. From almost getting killed, to becoming a diplomat, that's a crazy career shift. Meanwhile, back in the Demon Kingdom, the generals are getting nervous. Hiraku's power keeps growing, and now he even has dragons on his side. So Bezel decides to play it smart. He sends his daughter, Florem, to the village, as a spy. When Florem arrives, she's immediately greeted by Lasti, the dragon, and she's shocked. Because yeah, seeing a dragon casually living there is not normal. She starts gathering intel. At first she thinks, okay, this is manageable, lizardmen, beastmen, ogres, dwarves, strong but maybe beatable. Then she sees Lucy, the vampire princess. Her confidence drops. Then she sees Tia, the angel of annihilation. And not just her, but her trio of killer angels too. At that moment, Florem probably realizes, yeah, we are not winning this. Florem keeps observing the village, trying to figure out if they're beatable. At first, she spots the high elves, and thinks there are only 5 of them, cute mistake. Then she sees the demon spiders, and the inferno wolves. Yeah, that's when her confidence just dies. At this point she's like, okay, maybe we're not invading this place anytime soon. Now her brain goes into overdrive. If the villagers are this insane, then the mayor must be an absolute nightmare. So she prepares herself to meet some terrifying god-level being. And then she meets Hiraku. Just a normal-looking guy. No aura, no scary presence, nothing. So what does she do? She straight up ignores him. Doesn't even bother talking. Because in her mind, this guy? Mayor? Yeah, right. But then Lasti casually drops the truth. That ordinary human is the mayor, and not just that, he's the strongest person in the village, strong enough to one-shot dragons. Florem probably had a full system crash at that moment. Soon after, a random slime causes chaos by drinking an entire barrel of their precious wine. Now that is a serious crime. Hiraku doesn't think it's a big deal, but the women? Oh, they're ready to go full execution mode on this poor slime. But Florem steps in and says something surprisingly smart. Punishing a slime is pointless, it won't understand anything, it's just doing what slimes do. And for once, everyone agrees. So instead of punishing it, they let the slime stay and even join their feasts. Imagine committing theft and getting invited to dinner only in this village. As autumn arrives, Hiraku suddenly starts craving seafood. He talks about fish, crabs, and ocean food, but the others are confused. They've never even seen the ocean. And when it comes to crabs, they think they're giant, dangerous, and definitely not edible. Honestly, they're not completely wrong, but still. Since they need access to the sea, Florem suggests using the Demon Kingdom seaport. It's a few kilometers south of the village. So Lasti and Florem head there to get seafood. After 3 days they return, but not alone. They bring a man named Michael, the president of the Guren Company. This guy isn't just here to sell seafood, he has bigger plans. He offers to handle all of Hiraku's trade with the outside world. Basically, he wants to become the middleman. And his pitch: he can double or even triple their profits with his experience and negotiation skills. Now that's a bold claim. Hiraku doesn't decide alone, he consults Tia and Lucy, his right and left hands. And they both agree having someone knowledgeable handle trade is actually a smart move. So Michael gets the job. But here's the funny part. While he's acting confident on the outside, inside he's absolutely terrified. Because he knows exactly who he's dealing with. Still, the opportunity is too big to ignore. Being connected to Great Tree Village could make him insanely powerful in the trade world. Then, just when things seem stable again, another dragon shows up. But this one is different. She's not attacking blindly. It feels like she's testing Hiraku. And honestly, that's either very brave, or very stupid. Hiraka doesn't waste time. As soon as the dragon shows up acting suspicious, he pulls out the almighty tool, his holy spear, and takes her down. But this time, he doesn't kill her. Good thing too, because the dragon suddenly turns into a beautiful woman. And not just any woman, she's Hakurin, the older sister of Dragon King Drime. Yeah, bro almost deleted his future in-law. Turns out, Hakurin came because she heard rumors that Drime was basically offering his daughter Lasti as a bride to Hiraku, so naturally she wanted to test him. But let's be real, that's not the only reason. She's jealous. Her niece is getting married while she's still single and waiting, so she shows up like, let me see what's so special about this guy. Hiraku, not impressed at all, calls her out on her behavior and makes her clean up the mess she caused with her fire attack. Imagine being a legendary dragon, and getting assigned cleaning duty, humbling experience. After that, things somehow get even weirder. They all start playing mahjong. But these aren't normal games. The dragons are insanely competitive and they add a rule, whoever loses has to remove their clothes. Yeah, things escalated real fast. Hiraku, being just a human, doesn't stand a chance against ancient, super intelligent dragons. So obviously, he loses. A lot. Let's just say it wasn't his proudest moment. After that chaos, Hakurin decides to stay in the village as a teacher. And to be fair, she's insanely talented. She's lived for thousands of years and is good at basically everything. But there's one problem, her ego. She refuses to help whenever asked, acting like everything is beneath her. So Hiraku comes up with a genius solution. He gives her the most pointless job possible, digging holes, and then filling them back up. Over and over again. No glory, no respect, just pure meaningless labor. Hakurin quickly understands the message. And just like that, her attitude improves. She starts teaching the kids math, reading, and writing. From arrogant dragon to school teacher, character development unlocked. Next morning, new visitors arrive. Lamia girls, half human, half snake. They complain that Hiraku's inferno wolves and spiders attack their hideout and chase them away. Honestly, not surprising, those pets are basically natural disasters. The Lamia girls offer diamonds and other mined resources in exchange for protection. Hiraku agrees and even sets up trade with them. He gives them food and clothes, and in return they provide resources. Soon, the Lamia girls started delivery service for the village. This place really went from farming simulator to full economy system. Meanwhile, back in the Demon Kingdom, things are getting messy. Princess Yuri is preparing to attack Great Tree Village. What? Because she thinks her friend Florem is being held hostage there. Completely wrong, but confidence is high. Beazle meets Florem and tells her about Yuri's plan. He also explains that despite Florem's detailed reports, the princess thinks it's all fake. Because in her mind, a village that powerful shouldn't even exist. Which is fair, it shouldn't. Beazle tries to stop Yuri, but yeah, she doesn't listen to anyone. So now it's up to Florem to fix this mess before Hiraku even finds out. Because if Hiraka finds out first, it's game over. Florem acts smart. She sends the Lamia girls to intercept Yuri's army before they reach the village. And guess what? They get completely overwhelmed. The same army that was coming to attack now runs for their lives. Eventually, they end up seeking refuge in the very village they came to attack. Even Princess Yuri is terrified at this point. Florem speaks on her behalf, calming the situation, but she's not letting them off easy. Instead of punishment, they decide to make them work in the village to repay their mistakes. Basically, forced community service. But here's the twist. Florem still hasn't told Hiraku who they really are. So Hiraku is just out here helping random refugees. Completely unaware that they were about to invade his home. Honestly, this village runs on chaos, luck, and Hiraku being clueless. Florem gives Princess Yuri a full tour of the village. At first, Yuri is still a bit tense, but slowly reality hits her. This isn't some evil hidden power planning world domination. It's just a peaceful village. People farming, eating, laughing, living their lives, no chains, no prison, no hostage situation, just vibes. So yeah, she realizes she almost started a war for absolutely no reason. Great job, princess, truly brilliant strategy. After spending a few days there, Yuri finally accepts she was wrong and decides to leave quietly, probably hoping no one brings this up again. Soon after, a new group arrives, the Mountain Elves. Unlike others, they don't want to depend on Hiraku, they want to survive on their own. Respectable. Until they try hunting in the forest, and immediately realize the animals here are not normal. These aren't cute little deer, these are you blink and you die level creatures. So yeah, independence plan equals failed within a day. Later, during a patrol, some elves discover something interesting. A bloody viper living in a dungeon north of the village, and apparently, its meat is insanely valuable. Boosts immunity, increases fertility, basically a walking cheat code. The elves get excited and insist they should capture it, because of course, nothing ever goes wrong when people chase overpowered creatures for benefits. Time passes and winter approaches. Everything is calm, until suddenly big news drops. Lucy falls sick. Everyone panics. But it's not sickness. She's pregnant. Yeah, that escalated fast. The whole village shifts into preparation mode. What was once a chill farming life now becomes, protect Lucy at all costs. Things settle again, peace returns. Hiraku has already built everything. The systems, the safety, the structure. Now it's on the villagers to maintain it. Still, they keep training because deep down, everyone knows trouble loves this village a little too much. All the girls become extra protective of Hiraku. And for the first time, after everything he went through in his past life, Hiraku actually starts enjoying life. Peaceful, stable, almost too good. Which obviously means something weird is about to happen. Next morning, a strange man appears out of nowhere. No one notices him, which is already suspicious. But turns out he's not here to fight. He's from the vampire kingdom, and he came to check on Lucy. And then Hiraku finds out this young-looking guy is actually 4,000 years old. Even better, he's Lucy's grandfather. Yeah, casual family visit. His name is Vargrife. And his secret to staying young? He literally erases his memories over time, keeping only his name and identity. Imagine resetting your brain like it's a phone just to avoid aging. Wild. But then, something unexpected happens. Vargrife sees the statue of God in the village, and gets jealous, because he's only seen God once in his entire life, for a brief moment when he was born. Meanwhile, Hiraku is out here casually living under divine blessings and even has a statue. Life is unfair. Vargrife wants the statue. Hiraku refuses, respectfully, but still, no, because it belongs to the village, not him. Vargrife makes a sad face, and somehow that works. Hiraku gives in, but not completely. He promises to make a new statue instead. After finishing it, Vargrife tries to pay him. Hiraku refuses again, because for him this isn't business, it's respect. So Vargrife takes the statue, returns to the biggest temple in his city, and replaces the old one with Hiraku's creation. And as a thank you, he sends back a beautiful piano. Not bad for a free job. Months pass and Lucy's pregnancy progresses. Her belly grows and the village gets more serious about preparation. One rule is set, no alcohol for Lucy. Simple. But then all the other girls decide they won't drink either. Solidarity? Or maybe just peer pressure with extra steps. Finally, the big night arrives. Lucy is ready to give birth. Hiraku for once can't do anything. No farming, no building, no fixing, just waiting. So he goes back to the great tree, the place where his journey started. Under the same sky, watching the two moons. Back then he wanted to live alone. Now, he has a whole village, a family, a life. By morning everything changes. His son is born. Holding the child in his arms, Hiraku realizes just how far he's come. From nothing, to this. They name him Alfred as Lucy suggests. Half human, half vampire. Already built different. Wanting to thank everyone who helped build the village, Hiraku calls a meeting and introduces something new, a reward system. A coin-like metal to honor contributions. It's not just symbolic, it can actually be used as currency. Man really turned a village into a functioning economy. After that, he throws a massive feast to celebrate his son's birth. Because of course he does. This village doesn't do small celebrations. Only chaos and big parties. One morning, Tia drops some casual news on Hiraku. More people want to move in. Hiraku probably thinks, okay, maybe 10? 20? Nope. 100? Yeah, at this point it's not a village anymore. It's turning into a small country. And obviously, you can't just squeeze 100 people into already packed houses like it's a train in rush hour. So now they have no choice, they need a whole new village. Everyone gets to work. Leah finds a perfect location across the river, a bit far from the main village. Smart move. Not just for space but also as a safety measure. Because let's be honest, if a rebellion ever happens, you don't want enemies living right next door. That's just asking for trouble. First task, build a path between the two villages. Sounds easy. It's not. The trees in this forest are built like iron. The lizard men and elves try cutting them, and fail miserably. Not even a scratch. So yeah, once again Hiraku pulls out his almighty tool and clears the entire path like it's nothing. Casual flex. Next, building a bridge. Hiraku probably thinks of a proper one. But Leah says, nope, just use 2 wooden blocks. What? Because a big bridge would make it easier for monsters to walk in. Honestly, she's thinking ahead while everyone else is just trying to survive the day. After that, they redirect the river and create a water reservoir. Because if you're building a new village, you might as well do it properly. Then comes housing. Things are going smoothly. Until Drime shows up. And he's not alone. He brings a group of minotaurs. And these guys are huge. Like, your house is a toy level huge. Their leader, Gordon, explains they were expelled from their old village and have nowhere to go. There are 72 of them. Which is already a lot. But the real problem? Their size. Hiraku's houses are perfect for normal people. For these giants? They're basically dollhouses. But wait, it gets worse. Florum's father, Bezel, shows up and brings even more people. Centaurs. Half human, half horse. Now the population just keeps stacking like it's a game with no limit. And then we get her. One of the centaur women starts acting all entitled. Rude tone, bossy attitude like Hiraku owes her something. Which is honestly wild because she's literally here asking for shelter. The audacity is impressive. Hiraku, being Hiraku, stays calm and says nothing. But yeah, it's annoying. Thankfully, someone steps in. A girl calls her out and reminds her, very clearly, that they are the ones receiving help, not giving orders. Then she introduces herself. Latiasi Drawa, daughter of Count Drawa. Basically, high nobility. Instant reality check. The rude centaur, Gruoff, immediately kneels and apologizes, because suddenly, manners exist again. Now things calm down, a bit. But the housing problem? Still there. Houses are too small for both minotaurs and centaurs. And just when you think it can't get more crowded, another group shows up. Tree spirits? Yes, actual tree spirits. They can switch between tree form and human-like form. Their homeland got destroyed because humans cut too many trees, causing floods. So now they're refugees too. And how did they find this place? Of course, Michael sent them. That guy is basically doing free marketing for the village at this point. The tree spirits can't speak normally, so they use a small tree stump to talk, which is already weird enough. But then it gets weirder. Hiraku asks what they want to eat. And they're like, food? Nah. They came all this way for soil. Just soil. They sit on Hiraku's farmland, and suddenly the stump starts growing flowers. At this point, Hiraku probably stopped questioning things a long time ago. Since they're normal human size, Hiraku offers them houses. They refuse. Because they're trees. They prefer staying outside. Fair enough. So now the houses meant for them are empty. Hiraku decides to move the Minotaur children into those houses. At least someone's using them. But the adults? Still too big. And most of them end up staying at Hiraku's place, which is now basically a crowded hostel. So now the situation is clear. They don't just need houses anymore. They need giant-sized houses, 472 Minotaurs, and 100 plus centaurs. At this point, Hiraku isn't building a village. He's building a civilization. And somehow, it's still not enough. Hiraku decided that before doing anything big, he should first talk properly with everyone. So he invited one representative from each group and sat down with them to discuss what to do next. But before starting, he did something important. He apologized. He told them he was sorry because he still hadn't prepared proper homes for all of them. Everyone had come to live together, yet the place wasn't ready. Still, the representatives understood his situation, so things didn't get awkward. After that, Hiraku came up with a simple plan. Since there were many different groups, each with different needs, he assigned someone from his side to take care of each group. He sent the lizard man Narf to handle the Minotaurs, Mumu to take care of the Nyunu Daphne group, who were basically human-like trees, and Latiasi to assist the centaurs, who were half human and half horse. This way no group would feel ignored. Then came the real problem. Where should they build the new villages? The houses they had built earlier were normal human houses, meant for people under 6 feet. But now they had giants like Minotaurs and centaurs living with them. Clearly those houses wouldn't work anymore. So they decided to move a bit further away and start fresh. This time, instead of one big place, they planned to create separate small villages for each group, so everyone could live comfortably according to their needs. Since everything had to be built from the beginning, Hiraku asked everyone to help. But honestly, he asked the worst possible helpers, the dragons, Lasti and her aunt. They had too much power and almost no control. While trying to help, they caused chaos, smashing things here and there. Somehow, despite the mess, the work still got done. But Hiraku quickly realized that if they kept going like this, they might flatten the entire forest instead of just making a simple road. While the dragons were busy doing their work, Hiraku focused on building the second village for the Minotaurs. These guys were huge, so everything had to be bigger: houses, furniture, everything. Even their beds looked strange compared to human beds. Their style was different and it felt a bit odd, but it worked perfectly for them. At the same time, the third village for the centaurs was taking shape. But instead of normal houses, they built large stable-like homes because that suited them better. Interestingly, they didn't use normal doors. Opening and closing doors was difficult for them, so they used curtains tied with ropes and sliding panels to block rainwater. It was simple but smart. It took about a month, but in the end, both villages for the Minotaurs and centaurs were completed. After all that hard work, Hiraku, along with Florem, Leah, and Tia, created a map of the area to organize everything properly. Now only one thing was left: naming the villages. Hiraku, being his usual simple self, first suggested names like Uptown, Middletown, and Downtown based on their locations. But then he suddenly changed his mind and went with something even simpler: Village 1, Village 2, and Village 3. Not creative at all, but at least it was easy to remember. Tia then suggested that each village should have its own leader as mayor. So Minotaur Gordon became the mayor of Village 1, and Centaur Grueld became the mayor of Village 2. Then Leah and Florem added another idea. They said that if others were mayors, then Hiraku should be promoted to something bigger like High Mayor or even King Mayor. It sounded grand, though Hiraku didn't seem to care much about titles. Just when everything seemed settled, a tree spirit suddenly appeared and started complaining. His people didn't have a village yet, and he was clearly upset. At first, Hiraku calmly said that they weren't planning to build a separate village for them. Hearing this, the tree spirit almost lost hope completely. But before things got too dramatic, Hiraku explained his actual plan. He told them that instead of keeping all the tree spirits in one place, he wanted to spread them across different villages. Some would stay in his village, while others would be placed in Village 1, 2, and 3. Since the tree spirits could communicate through telepathy over long distances, they wouldn't feel separated at all. In fact, this would make them more useful and connected everywhere. And the best part was that these trees weren't just normal trees. They had a special ability: they could absorb sunlight during the day and then glow at night like natural light bulbs. So by spreading them across all villages, Hiraku wasn't just solving their housing problem, he was also lighting up the entire area in the smartest way possible. Now that Hiraku had successfully given homes to all the people who came to him, things finally looked peaceful. But he knew that just giving shelter wasn't enough. If they wanted to truly survive and grow, everyone needed work. So Hiraku started thinking about creating jobs for all the villagers. However, before he could even begin planning, all the village representatives suddenly showed up with complaints. Turns out, the villagers were getting attacked by demon rabbits. Hiraku had made a big mistake. He assumed that since the villagers looked strong, they wouldn't need protection. Because of that, he never built any barriers around the villages. On top of that, they didn't even have inferno wolves guarding the place like before. So now, everyone was basically living wide open for attacks. Realizing his mistake, Hiraku quickly took action. He assigned Zabutin and Kuro's children as defenders for the villages. With them guarding the area, things finally started to feel safe again, and the villagers could relax a little. With safety handled, the next step was obvious: farming. The villagers needed to grow their own food instead of depending on others. But just when things seemed to be going smoothly, another problem popped up. The soil in that area was completely useless. Nothing would grow in it. Hiraku soon understood why. He himself had only been able to grow crops because of his almighty farming tool. Without it, the land was basically dead. But that tool was unique to Hiraku, so others couldn't use it. This is when Gordon, the Minotaur leader, stepped in with a new idea. Instead of depending on tools, they should try to make the land fertile again in a more natural way. And for that, they decided to rely on blessings from the gods. So Hiraku built a shrine for them, placing statues of different gods to help with their farming. It was a good idea, except for one small mistake. He made the statue of the agricultural god as an old man, while in reality, the agricultural god was actually a young and beautiful lady. Hiraku had no clue about this, so he just proudly finished the shrine, completely unaware of his error. Meanwhile, the centaurs took a completely different approach. Instead of struggling with farming, they started a delivery service. Since they were naturally fast and strong, it suited them perfectly. They could transport goods between villages quickly, making themselves useful in a totally different way. One day, Grueld noticed that Hiraku had a horse just standing around doing nothing. Hiraku explained that it was a gift from a merchant named Michael. Riding a horse had always been one of his small dreams, so he tried to ride it. But the horse completely ignored him every single time. No matter what he did, the horse just wouldn't cooperate. So Hiraku asked Grueld to talk to the horse and convince it, but she simply said she didn't speak horse language. Still, she decided to help in her own way. Instead of talking to the horse, she offered Hiraku a ride on her back. And just like that, Hiraku ended up riding a centaur instead of a horse. Now here's where it gets funny. The horse saw this and for some reason got jealous. The very next day, it suddenly started acting obedient and allowed Hiraku to ride it without any problem. It was almost like the horse didn't want to lose to Grueld. But now Grueld was the one getting annoyed. She didn't like seeing Hiraku riding the horse instead of her, so she started arguing, trying to convince him that the horse wasn't suitable for him. In the end, Hiraku had no choice but to make a promise. He would ride both of them. That somehow settled things even though the situation was still pretty ridiculous. After all this chaos, things slowly returned to normal. Life became peaceful again, almost a bit too peaceful and boring. But during this calm time, Hiraku learned something important from Gordon. Instead of relying too much on special tools, he decided to actually learn farming skills properly. It was a small step, but an important one for the future. Still, Hiraku had one more strange problem to deal with. His own village had way too many women. It was starting to feel unbalanced. So he went to Gordon and asked if some men from the Minotaur group could come and live in his village. But Gordon immediately refused. He explained that their kind followed a strict tradition. They only married within their own race because of their large size. Mixing with others would cause too many problems. And just like that, Hiraku's hope for bringing more men into the Great Tree Village disappeared. So for now, the village remained exactly the same, full of women, with Hiraku stuck in the middle of it all. Winter arrives again and snow begins to cover everything in the village. The children feel very happy and spend their time playing in the snow. However, Hiraku can no longer continue his farming work because of the cold weather. Now, the villagers must depend on the food they stored before winter began. Over the past few months, the village population has grown, which makes Hiraku worried that the food may not be enough for everyone. The new villagers understand this problem. They decide to eat only twice a day and reduce their portions so the food can last longer. But the lizard men think this is not safe, as eating too little can harm their health. They advise everyone to eat properly and stay strong during winter. Even after this advice, the villagers continue to eat less because they do not want to waste food. Seeing this, Hiraku comes up with a smart idea. He suggests that people should eat vegetables that will spoil quickly first. This way, food will not be wasted and they can still manage their supplies wisely. The village representatives like this idea and agree to inform everyone. At the same time, Mumu is standing quietly. When Hiraku asks if the Nyunyu Daphne tree people need anything, she becomes slightly annoyed. These tree villagers are very self-sufficient, and they rarely need help from anyone. They do not need food or warm clothes because they can survive extreme cold easily. Their only problem is that snow sometimes piles up on them and they need help clearing it. Mumu feels frustrated because she wants to help and be useful, but she rarely gets the chance. Just then, the lizard man Narf gives her a task. Hearing this, Mumu becomes very happy because she finally feels important and useful to the village. Narf explains that the Minotaurs have made a request about the Nyunyu Daphne tree people. The Minotaurs feel uncomfortable seeing the tree people in human form without clothes. They have asked if proper clothing can be provided for them. Mumu understands this situation and does not find it strange. She knows that the tree people sometimes forget to wear clothes when they take human form. She promises that she will deliver this request to them. As winter becomes even colder, Hiraku decides to prepare a new dish for everyone. He cooks large amounts of rice by steaming many pots at the same time, making sure there is enough food for the entire village. Tia sees them and thinks that Hiraku is going to make rice cakes again. However, Lucy's sister Flora says that Hiraku is planning to do something different with the rice this time, and she is partly correct. Hiraku is actually thinking of creating a new dish, which is called machi. To make this new dish, Hiraku needs everyone's help. He asks all the girls to gather around and use a mortar and pestle to pound the steamed rice. They must keep smashing it again and again until it becomes soft and sticky, turning into machi. The girls feel a little surprised by this. Growing rice was already hard work, and now they see that rice can be turned into many different dishes. At first, Hiraku shows them how to do it properly. He demonstrates the method so they can learn the right way to pound the rice. He carefully lifts the pestle and strikes the rice again and again, showing them the rhythm and technique. However, this work needs a lot of strength and stamina. Hiraku soon starts to feel tired. On the other hand, the girls are much stronger. Some of them even use their magic powers to control the pestle and continue smashing the rice without getting exhausted. Tia becomes very excited and treats it like training. Instead of using the pestle normally, she starts punching the rice with great energy. Soon, other members of the great village hear about this and come to help. Many people join in, and together they continue pounding the rice until it becomes perfectly soft and ready. After the hard work is finally done, Hiraku begins shaping the machi. Now the machi only needs flavors. For a sweet taste, Hiraku adds sugary soy sauce to some of them. For another type, he uses zunda, which is made from mashed edamame. He also prepares some with roasted soy powder, giving each one a different flavor. But he does not stop there. Hiraku also makes another dish called zensai by adding boiled red kidney beans to the machi. This creates a warm and sweet version of the dish. At the same time, Hiraku is not the only one experimenting. The elf Leah also tries to create her own version of mochi using special fragrant herbs from the forest. It is not easy for her. She has to go deep into the forest and take risks to collect these rare edible herbs. Her effort pays off, and her mochi has a unique and pleasant aroma. Soon, one of the dwarves, Donovan, arrives with his homemade alcohol. He offers it as a drink to go along with Hiraku's new rice dishes. Everyone becomes impressed by the variety and taste of the mochi. The dish quickly becomes popular across all 3 villages. Among everyone, the Minotaur named Gordon turns out to be the best at making mochi. The next day, something unexpected happens in the village. A female Minotaur from Village 2 receives a marriage proposal from a knight wearing armor. He comes from the Demon Kingdom and is revealed to be one of the 4 generals of the Demon Lord. His name is Gratz. He believes that marrying a girl from Hiraku's village will help strengthen the bond between their sides. However, the Minotaur woman feels unsure about this sudden proposal. She tells Gratz that he should first take permission from the village mayor before anything is decided. Gratz then quickly goes to meet Hiraku. He directly asks Hiraku to tell him the conditions for marrying one of the village girls. But Hiraku finds this strange. He believes this is not the right way for a marriage to happen. Calmly, he explains that marriage should only happen when both people agree to it. Later, Hiraku talks to the girls in his village. He asks them if it is normal for a man to ask the mayor for permission like this. The girls do not find it strange at all. They even say that, traditionally, a father has the right to decide who his daughter will marry. Hiraku returns to Gratz and clearly refuses the proposal. He explains that the Minotaur woman, Ranana, does not want to get married. However, Gratz refuses to accept this answer. He believes that he just needs to find a way to make her say yes. Hiraku strongly disagrees with this thinking. He tells Gratz that he must not use force, threats, or pressure to make someone accept a marriage. He explains that such a decision should come from true consent. To be fair, Hiraku gives Ranana some time so she can think calmly and decide what she really wants. As Gratz returns to the Demon Kingdom, his thoughts become restless. He is so desperate to marry Ranana that he starts to fear someone else might take her away while he does nothing. His feelings grow so strong that he even considers leaving his position as one of the Demon Lord's generals. He thinks about giving up his power and living a simple life in the village just to be with her. The next morning, the girls present their rice cake dishes to Hiraku. When he looks at them, he feels something is missing. The food looks too plain and simple. He wants to add something that will make the dish more special and interesting. He thinks about using seaweed, but the girls have never heard of it before. To them, it sounds like something strange or even dangerous, like a creature from the sea. Last, he decides to take responsibility and goes to bring Michael, who has knowledge of outside items. After a few days, she returns with him. Michael also brings some seaweed, but he is unsure if it is correct, since no one in their world usually eats it. Hiraku begins to prepare it. He cuts the seaweed into small pieces and soaks it in water. Then he spreads it inside a wooden frame placed over paper. After some time, he removes the frame and lets it dry. Slowly, the seaweed forms a thin sheet, almost like paper. Before anyone tries to eat it raw, Hiraku lightly roasts it over fire. Then he places the rice cakes on top of the seaweed, creating a new and improved dish. They also try adding seaweed to mochi, making it even more unique. Michael becomes very excited after seeing this. He is amazed that such a simple ingredient can create something so useful and tasty. He immediately wants to learn the method so he can sell it in his shop and earn money. That night, Hiraku decides to make another dish. Since he already has rice and seaweed, he wants to prepare sushi. As expected, none of the girls know what sushi is, so Hiraku teaches them step by step. He tells them to use freshly cooked rice and mix it with salt, sugar, and vinegar. Then they prepare fillings. With the help of the mountain elves, they make simple sushi mats. Using these mats, they roll the rice and fillings together and cut them into small pieces. They also try making some with meat. Everyone enjoys the taste, and the new dish becomes a success. As winter finally ends, the snow begins to melt, and life slowly returns to normal. Even though the village has grown and become lively, Hiraku still feels that something is missing. He wants to bring more joy to everyone, so he decides to create a festival. To explain his idea, he gives examples of festivals where people run from bulls, throw tomatoes at each other, or chase rolling cheese down hills. However, these examples only make the villagers feel scared, as they do not sound fun or safe to them. So, the girls begin to share stories of festivals from their own worlds. Latiasi Drawa talks about a festival called Piopio. She describes it as a strange event where a bad figure goes around attacking the houses of rich people. Another girl disagrees and says it is not Piopio but someone named Mumu who does this. Soon, the girls start arguing with each other about their different versions of festivals. They cannot agree on one idea and keep debating. To solve this, Hiraku suggests a simple method. He asks everyone to write down the names of their traditions and festivals and put them into a box. Then he randomly picks one idea. The result turns out to be a martial arts competition. Florem feels relieved because she thinks this is one of the safer options. She believes the other ideas could have been more dangerous. However, Hiraku is still a little worried, because even a martial arts competition can become violent if not controlled properly.